Thank you, members. It's officially 10:05 a.m. I'd like to call this Ways and Means meeting to order. Uh, but before that, I'd like to welcome our Board of Regents, uh, Chairperson Cepeda, Vice Chair is Miss Elaine in town? No, that is Miss Torres in town, or um, Regent Jeannie, Michelle, welcome. And is William Singh in the building? No? Okay. Good morning. And also welcome to our newly signed president, Mr. Galvin. Thank you for making time today and bringing in your awesome staff at NMC. Vice President Mr. Elliptico, our CFO, Mr. Atto at the back, and before that, I'll recognize my Vice Chair, uh, Rep. Atto, our uh, Vice Speaker, who's a member of Ways and Means, uh, Vice Speaker Joel Camacho. To my left, representing the Island Rhoda, Rep. Ogo. To her left, Precinct 1, Representative Benavente. To his left, Precinct 2, Mr. Manny Castro. Um, Member Precinct 1, Vincent Odan. To his left, Representative Marissa Flores. We have to my right, Representative Member and Representative Angelo Camacho, along with Representative Danita Yangtamay, honorary member. Still working on it. uh, also, our member, Representative Vicente Camacho, and our new congressman from Precinct 5, Representative TJ Manglonia. Welcome. And with that, I'll have the president do his opening remark, and I believe there is some presentation after. Yeah, yeah. After the presentation, we'll go ahead and adopt the agenda and proceed with the hearing. Mr. President.
Hafide Zentiro, Chairman, thank you very much for having us here, and as well as other members of this distinguished committee. Very honored to have with us today the Chairman of our Board of Regents, Mr. Charles Cepeda, along with Regents Mofnas and Sablan. The other regents are definitely in full support, but a lot of other things are going on right now, and they couldn't join us today, but they are definitely here with us in spirit. And like you said, Chairman, we have with us our team. What we hope to do this morning is to share with you and members of this committee the many ways that we have taken the investment you have made into higher education through Northern Marianas College and your appropriations budget, and to show you, demonstrate to you the return on that investment. And that is what we intend to do. And then to also help you understand what more we can do with continued investment in higher education. And this is really rooted in our new mission statement that the board just adopted this year. And that is that the mission of NMC is to cultivate stewardship through scholarship. This means that we are focused on helping our community become better stewards of our islands and our people. And that's why we say that our vision is to, as we sail ahead with the focus on learning, because we are an institution of higher learning, we aim to lift the tide for everyone, because we know that Northern Marianas College and higher education are really the key to a better life. And as to kind of borrow from Dr. Martin Luther King's quote, "A rising tide lifts all boats." That's exactly what we intend to do with our PROA, is to lift the tide for everyone else. So a key part of this stewardship is really taking care of our community, taking care of our resources, and taking care of our people. That's what stewardship is all about. It's about taking care. It's not just about caring. It's about manifesting that care into actions. And we are going to show you, the members of this committee, the many ways that we have taken care of our community, our resources, and our people. And I just want to start off by talking about our financial stewardship. When it comes to taking care of the funds that you have invested in us, as well as our federal partners, as well as the tuition and fees, we have demonstrated clear, responsible financial stewardship with 15 years of clean audits. And I'm sure you can understand, appreciate, and respect how invaluable that is. That means that we're a low-risk auditee, and that also ensures that we qualify for a number of grants, because that's often a prerequisite for many federal grants. We were recognized for this by our recent accreditation visit and evaluation, which gave us an 8-year accreditation term, the longest in the college's history. So the accrediting team and the accrediting commission are both very mindful of how we were able to take our limited financial resources and manage them well in such a way that we never ran a deficit, we paid all our bills on time, and we continue to provide quality services to our community. So we come before you today to let you know that you can trust us with your investment. And that is why we are asking for this budget. Now, we'll get into the details in a bit, but 18.7 million is not a wish list. This is what we need. We are not highballing it. We're not kind of entering a negotiation phase where we come in high and then you come in low and then we meet somewhere in the middle. We understand that you have very limited financial resources. But it is our hope that by the end of our presentation today, you will see that the return on investment in NMC is exponential for the Commonwealth of the Northern Mariana Islands. So again, this $8.7 million is what we need. It's not a wish list. It's not what we want. It's what we need. And I trust that by the end of the presentation today, you will come to a better understanding of why we need that. So I'd like to move on to talking a little bit about how we take care of our community. And in taking care of our community, one thing that we take very seriously is how we're investing in the economic development of the Commonwealth. And this is something that I know all of you are interested in knowing about. So we'd like to first call up our SBDC Network Director, Nadine De Leon Guerrero, who will talk about some of the amazing things happening at SBDC.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. G, for that introduction. And I know that I am on a time crunch, so I'm going to try and set the pace for my colleagues that are going after me and try and speed right through this. So I'm going to go ahead and jump into this SBDC, how it's a particular milestone in not just Northern Marianas College, but in the Commonwealth history. So previously, the SBDC was under the purview of the Pacific Islands SBDC network, along with American Samoa, thank you, the island nations under FSM, so Chuuk, Kashrai, Yap, and Pohnpei, along with CNMI. And that presented challenges on its own in that we had to compete for grant funding with those different island nations. However, in 2021, that became a dream for us in the Commonwealth, and that we were able to establish our own network. And that is a milestone in its own, because now we were able to have not just our own grant, our own pot of money for grant funding to dictate the different types of initiatives that we could push out to the community, but as well as open up service centers under Tinian and Rhoda, including the lead center in Saipan. So what are these services that we provide? The SBDC services that we provide are not unique to the CNMI. This is across the nation, the different types of core services that are provided. One of them is one-to-one business advising. This is at no cost to the clients that we serve. Highly confidential. We are not even allowed to discuss who our clients are unless they give us written permission that we can share that information, including SBA. Other different initiatives that we push out are training opportunities, events to assist businesses to gain exposure. And if we can go ahead and switch to the next slide, I'll go ahead and demonstrate the different opportunities that we present to the clients that we serve. On the top left-hand corner, you'll see one of our clients from our Tinian SBDC night demonstrating a live in action creation of her own pottery ceramics that she was able to sell at one of the Tinian SBDC nights that we held there just like a couple months ago. And within the year, we've already hosted one in Tinian, Rhoda, and in Saipan. The different training opportunities that we also offer to our clients include export trading, and Guam, through our partnership with the Guam PTAC office, this allows us to service our clients in a way where they're able to now get into the federal registry, where they can now have business opportunities with not just the CNMI clients, business community, but within the federal realm of business. And if you look at the top right-hand corner, this is one of our premier signature events, which is Seed to Sell. Some of you may have heard of it. It's our own live version of Shark Tank. Within this particular event alone, we were able to push out almost $70,000 in capital access funding. Next slide. Now, I can go on the different types of events that we can host, and maybe we can schedule a different presentation for that. But I wanted to also demonstrate that we have different metrics that allow us to measure our performance. Part of that is allowing us to determine how much in capital access infusion or capital infusion we're able to pump out within the, and I want to say that the numbers are higher than this because these numbers are collected through client attribution statements. And if we don't get those attribution statements back from our clients, we don't actually account for that. So I just wanted to make that clear that these are the minimal numbers. It's actually, for me, what it should be is at least twice the amount. The number of clients that we serve are 384 clients. The number of different training events that we've been able to push out was 20, and we've been able to serve 205 clients within those training opportunities. Now, next slide. What I've actually talked about is a very, very summarized version of what the SBDC does to assist our community. I want to now engage into the realm where we now talk about what it takes to continue servicing our business community, and that comes in within the form of a cash match. Now, in 2021, we were granted over $700,000 in federal funding. For 2023, we purposely asked for a lower amount just because we knew that we had previous funding to still expend because of how we were able to staff our network. And now that we have a full-fledged staff, we feel that in conjunction with the 2022 funding as well as 2023, this will enable us to meet our minimum requirements. And I just want to talk about the cash match a little bit. Although we are housed under the Northern Marianas College, I want to point out that we are a CNMI Small Business Development Center. This is very tricky in a sense where if we don't have the cash match minimum funding of $400,000 and $905, what will end up happening is now we'll have to tap into funding that has been appropriated for NMC. And we don't want to do that. We don't want to take away from student services. We don't want to take away from the ability to hire faculty and staff so that we can offer more classes and provide more opportunities to our students. So with that being said, we are kindly asking for $400,000 and $905. This includes in-kind donations or in-kind match from the Northern Marianas College as our host institution, and that covers different services that the NMC provides out of the goodness of their heart. And that's HR services, financial services, including whatever procurement services that we have to do or go through in order to get our programs up and running, as well as facilities. They pay for our internet, they pay for our power. And so all of that is accounted for in the cash match that we ask. And that is NMC's contribution to a CNMI SBDC. So I just want to show that the partnership is there within NMC. They are shouldering a lot of the expenses as well as the human capital it takes to run it. And now I ask on behalf of the CNMI that you also support the cash match that we need to continue our services to our business community. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it on.
Thank
Sorry.
you, Nadine. So as you can see, we're doing a lot to invest in our economy through SBDC. That's just one example. But as we all know, a key to economic development is workforce development. And one of our flagship programs that meets those needs is our Community Development Institute. So I'd like to call up our executive director for the Community Development Institute, Monique Sablan, to speak more about what the many great things that they are doing.
Surprise. I am Monique Sablan. I am the director for the Community Development Institute. So CDI was designed to create and implement training for individuals, businesses, agencies, and organizations seeking to enhance their skills and advance in their careers. So CDI plays a very pivotal role for fostering overall workforce development, as it offers individuals a second avenue to acquire practical skills and knowledge through short or long-term certificate programs. Through a pool of highly skilled faculty and adjunct instructors, CDI has implemented multiple programs, workshops, professional development initiatives, and has fostered internal and external partnerships since its inception. To illustrate, CDI has partnered with DCCA's Child Care Development Fund and NMC's School of Education to meet the demand for early childhood education certification. We continue to offer this ECE certification program, which has well-equipped childcare providers to provide accurate care for our children in the CNMI. CDI has also continued to collaborate with NMC's School of Education and CNMI PSS Career Technical Education Program to facilitate a Teacher Academy program. This program allows high school students to explore teaching career options and earn college credit at the same time. In regards to healthcare, CDI also houses the Area Health Education Center, which assists NMC nursing students and their department by providing supplementary opportunities for students to excel in healthcare professions. In addition, CDI also plays a vital role as it oversees the CNMI State Apprenticeship Expansion Grant and has actively collaborated with the CNMI Department of Labor to provide comprehensive support for the apprenticeship program here in the CNMI. Additionally, CDI continues to offer tailored training opportunities for government agencies. This includes skill building courses such as grant writing, technical report writing, and digital literacy training. Through these trainings, we're able to develop comprehensive and relevant trainings that empower individuals with the knowledge and skills necessary to excel in their respected fields. Go ahead, next slide. So CDI has a long list of upcoming training initiatives, but to name a few, we are delving into strategic AI integration for the workplace. We're also working with CHCC to develop a community health worker certification, effective governmental and business communication program, digital literacy for workplace success for just about anybody. And lastly, through our Area Health Education Center, we are working to build a simulation training lab that's tailored for our nursing department. Now, workforce development, where does that lead us? So to meet the needs of U.S. Public Law 115-218 and to address the CNMI's requirements to reduce the reliance on CW workers, the college itself continues to provide critical workforce training and expand ongoing vocational courses to U.S. citizens. This is done through the efforts of our School of Business, Nursing Department, and of course, CDI. With the ongoing work to launch new certificate programs and degree opportunities, the college maintains its focus on developing the workforce capacity in critical economic areas such as tourism and hospitality, accounting, healthcare, business-related areas, and other related areas. In 2021 to 2022, out of the 113 total graduates under NMC's School of Business, 87 graduates were identified as U.S. eligible qualified workers. All 87 U.S. qualified eligible workers have reported to found employment within business and financial occupations or sales and related occupations. Again, in 2021 to 2022, out of the 23 graduates under NMC's nursing department, 17 graduates were identified as U.S. qualified eligible workers. A total of 8 U.S. qualified eligible workers reported to have found employment as registered nurses. The job placement data rates achieved by these programs strongly demonstrate the college's effectiveness and ability to facilitate seamless transition of students into CW-related positions. To support all workforce development activities that address U.S. worker shortages in the CNMI, the college aims to attract and retain those highly skilled personnel who will contribute to the growth and development of workforce development activities. The college will maximize the use of CW funds in the amount of $1,191,000 towards key personnel expenses under NMC's School of Business, Nursing Department, and the Community Development Institute. Workforce development is a collective goal shared by our entire community, and the college is taking a comprehensive and collaborative approach by actively engaging in ensuring that the institution remains capable of meeting the evolving needs of the industries within the Commonwealth.
Thank you, Monique. So we take care of our community through economic development and workforce development, but we also do that through sustainable development. And I can think of no better lead entity at NMC than our CREASE program. So Dean Patty Coleman will tell us more about CREASE.
Thank you for the opportunity to give you all just a snapshot of some of the work that CREASE is doing in our 5 programmatic areas. So some of you have been involved with our feasibility studying, looking at aquaculture and open net pen opportunities that exist specifically for Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. And you all will be invited next week as we disseminate our findings from our study on Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda. So be expecting an invitation for that. We are also working on the CNMI's first ocean net pen proposal. So the first open ocean caging proposal. We hope to have that submitted and funded this summer. Go ahead. Yeah, next one. We also have recently obtained money for vertical mangrove crab farming. And so, you know, historically in the Marianas, there was the presence of mangrove crabs, and some villages who would probably get very upset with me if I said that they still have mangrove crab presence. We are working on this project, and about a month ago, we obtained the environmental approvals, and we have our own Rhoda native, Mr. Mike Ogo, leading these particular projects. One of Dr. G's visions for the Northern Mariana Islands is to, and for the college, is to have us be a Sea Grant institution. And so we were very blessed to have the National Director for Sea Grant, Dr. Pennock, come to the Mariana Islands. And our ultimate goal from that visit, which happened just a few months ago, was to have him say, why isn't the NMI already a Sea Grant based on our current portfolio of work that we're doing across the CNMI, not just at the college in Sea Grant related fields. And so he did end up saying that at the end of his visit. Dr. G has been invited to speak at the national Sea Grant meetings, to talk to our collaborators across the Sea Grant University system about what we have going on. And to stimulate interest in it. So we will have a visit from the Sea Grant Association in September, as Guam is hosting the National Sea Grant Association meeting at that time. So we have a bold goal at Northern Marianas College, and that is to be the fastest to full Sea Grant status in the nation. And thanks to the great leadership and support of our board and the college, we are moving in that direction. This is a very complex food systems map that your constituents actually help us put together. And so we're able to use this for insights into a new project that we've taken on that is complementary to this to improve health using artificial intelligence and machine learning. So one of the very first phases, which we have just initiated, is to provide more locally grown produce to our public school system. 10 months out of the year, 10,000 students are fed breakfast and lunch. And largely the food that's going in is food that has been imported. So we have phase one is producing lettuce locally. And this is timely because there is currently no imported lettuce on island in the CNMI. And lettuce has also had the highest, across the nation, the highest rate of inflation as well. So this is something that we can easily produce locally, and we are actively working on that with our local producers for this coming school year to have at least some percentage of the salad bars have locally grown lettuce in them. Okay. Part of the challenges that we hear from our local producers, and today we invite all of you, we have a regenerative agriculture for commercial producers workshop going on. We have commercial producers from Saipan, Tinian, and Rhoda in the room at Crown Resort. You're welcome to come down. We'll be there until 4 p.m., even just to pop in. But we hear the challenges about the access to labor for farming, the high cost of inputs. And then, of course, we hear about the number of commercial plots that are currently not being farmed on, which is a significant percent of the plots that are available. And so because of these challenges, go ahead to the next slide. We have to modify the approach, the growing system that's being used to accommodate what the needs and challenges are and opportunities are in the CNMI. So we are introducing a very new and different method of growing food for our local farmers. And so if at any time you have any questions about that, we're happy to be there, and you're always invited to attend our workshops with our local producers where things get very real very fast. Our 4-H Family Community and Youth Development Program, our 4-H Youth Development Program continues to make waves nationally. We have a locally grown 4-H national champion. We also have the very first collegiate facilitator from the Pacific on the right there, who's also an NMC student. You see our NMI 4-Hers posing with the undersecretary, one of the undersecretaries for economics in this photo. And Ms. Tana Bellew Camacho and her team continue to do just an excellent job. And this year, we're hosting other institutions. This summer, Washington State University is sending their faculty here so that they can learn how we do youth-led programming. So the CNMI is really leading the way nationally in youth development. We also have we've also been able to make some progress in our food science program. These are some of our preliminary findings, and we are doing quite a bit of work on local CNMI noni. And so I can share preliminarily, and this is still pending scientific publication, but our preliminary studies show one of the most exciting findings is an anti-cancer inhibitory effect on breast cancer cells. And so we were just approved a couple of weeks ago to move to animal studies. And after animal studies, we'll be able to hopefully obtain a patent specifically for noni. And so we're trying to, open up new industries in the Marianas. We have made some progress in obtaining all of the food science equipment. We are going to have a first-of-a-kind analytical laboratory that has food analytics and plant analytics. And it's definitely been a long learning curve, learning about the challenges with establishing this kind of laboratory. But this will give us the capacity to make further headway in the areas of producing breadfruit, tuber crops, sweet potato, taro, cassava, and yam flour. So we import tons and tons of flour from the US. So we are working very hard to do the science and the rheological studies needed to have a viable industry with these locally produced crops. And with that, thank you all very much.
Thank you, Dean Patty. So, yeah, let's give them a big round of applause. That's just a small sample of the many ways that the Northern Marianas College takes care of our community. Economic development, workforce development, sustainable development. But what empowers us, what enables us to do that is that we are also responsible stewards of our resources. So we'd like to tell you a little bit about how we take care of our resources, specifically the resource of our facilities, because we know there's a lot of interest, a lot of hope for our new facilities. And for that, I'll turn it over to our Vice President for Administration and Advancement, Frankie Elliptico.
Thank you, Dr. G, and thank you, Chairman and members of the committee for welcoming us this morning and letting us give you an update of our buildings that are coming up. As you know, we've been coming here the last 3 years, demonstrating the need for support and also giving you an updates of where we are in our particular stages of our different buildings. But before I get into the details of some of the individual buildings, Dr. G just gave me 5 minutes, but I'm going to go ahead and take 2 hours anyway, so because I deserve it. And just kidding. It's going to be 5 minutes, so put on your seatbelts. It's going to be fast. So just not to trigger anyone's, memories of Typhoon U2, but that's really what triggered, literally a lot of the rebuild of the NMC construction. The typhoon obliterated Northern Marianas College. As you know, here are some photos. This is building where our student center was held. Many of our students were using this building to congregate during their cafeteria, during their study sessions, during their group work. This is the ABE building that also housed the art building and other classrooms. This is building A, which housed most of our classrooms. So this is what we woke up to the day after Super Typhoon U2. This is a photo of the nursing lab, also a couple of days or a day after the typhoon. As you can see through the sky. We didn't intend to have a sunroof there, but there it is. Unfortunately, we could not continue the nursing program at our campus, and thank goodness that the Department of Public Health allowed us to continue programs for our nursing class so that our nursing students can go on their way to continue to earning their degree, so that they can be then registered nurses, who these students, by the way, were on the front lines of the pandemic, helping to save lives and helping to keep the CNMI one of the safest places in the world. So I just want to make sure that that's not lost in the impact that we are having in the community. Just make sure so total damages that we incurred as a Northern Marianas College. In one night, we lost 37 buildings. 37 classrooms out of 39. We had 2 surviving ones. Severe damage to all of our computer labs. As I mentioned, some of our buildings for our ABE, cafeteria, bookstore, our crease, and our gym. So that forced us to kind of step back and said, hey, are we going to rebuild these buildings, or are we going to, start anew? So that's what we did. We decided to just level most of NMC and take into consideration what would we do on a brand new campus. So we emphasize 3 different things. First is technology. Second is a very accessible campus. And third is energy efficiency. So we came up with this master plan that the Board of Regents approved. And you will see there are white buildings there, or buildings that are in white and buildings that are in gray. The white buildings, the college has gone out on a very aggressive grant seeking campaign, and we have successfully obtained grants. So if anyone says that we're not helping ourselves, we are definitely are by going and applying and seeking. We have had many rejections along the last 3 years, many rejections that I care to talk about. But along the way, we got a few big yeses. So this takes the burden off the CNMI to rebuild the CNMI community college. I just want to make sure that it is a CNMI community college that we're asking to, or that we're advocating for today. So our first building that's going up, we have finished the A&E part, so we're now hoping to go into the construction phase in the next several weeks. This building is funded by the U.S. Department of Education and also FEMA. We are waiting; it's imminent. The approval from the board from FEMA, as some of you know and have dealt with FEMA, that's not a easy process all the time, and our board of are very encouraging in all on each step of the way, and I hope that we will receive um, the approval from FEMA in the next day or so. I just got a message this morning that we're on the last step of that FEMA approval process. So this is what it will look like, the quad, as well as this is what you will see driving by the college on the other side when you're driving on Asterlahi going to either to San Vicente or to downtown. This is, again, it was important that we design spaces for students to want to be on campus. Because as you know, NMC was a former hospital, so we didn't have those spaces where that was open and that served as an oasis to our students and our community members. So more photos. This is an aerial photo of the student center. Again, A&E rendering. The quad is going to be a very big part. It's a performance quad, so that we don't have to string, 150-foot extension cord to plug the speaker. So we'll be able to ensure that we can host a taste of the Marianas here one day. And other big events for the community. So the target completion date for the student center is September 30, 2025. That's a very aggressive goal. So it's in 2 years. So again, we're working hard, and hopefully we are getting that approval in the next couple of days from FEMA. The other building that I wanted to let you know, we reached a historic milestone. Not historic, well, it is historic to all of us, because again, these are brand new buildings for our community. It's the CREES building, also called CRED. It's a Center for Research and Extension and Development, CRED. I hope I didn't mess that up, Patty. So they're going to also get a brand new building, because in the last typhoons, that's Sudalor and Yutu, they saw their buildings and offices and aquaculture facilities just destroyed. So we're putting CRED on a very prominent section of the campus, and also they're going to get a wonderful building. So this is a rendering of the building itself. It's a 2-story building, and the Board of Regents just this past week, thank you to the board, they approved the 30% phase of the A&E. So that's a very historic, again, milestone, because once we pass the A&E, it's really just filling in all the electrical and all the other things that go inside the building that I have no technical capability to explain. But we are really excited, because Patty and her team have really engaged all their stakeholders, internal and external. So whether it's farmers and all their partners, to see what kind of spaces will they need, not just now, but also in the future. So we're looking at that, and they've also put some space for growth in future, for the future. Dr. G, how am I doing? Am I at 20 minutes? I mean, I should know. Just quickly. You're less than an hour. And so I want to make sure that I emphasize they are very deliberate in how they design the buildings to include nature, and also this is called an edible walkway, so that we can grow things that are a part of their research activities, so that we can demonstrate. So it's also demonstration walkway. So every part of that is a very deliberate. So the target completion date for the CREES building is December 2025, also in 2 years. The next building that we're going to be talking about is the classroom building. So we got, thank you to the NMHC. This is through funding made possible by the DR program, administered by the NMHC, and also provided by HUD. So the two, I'm sorry, let me go, I'm skipping ahead. Let me go back to, this is the EDA funded building. This is the workforce development building. So this building will fund the, will provide space for the nursing program, the business program, as well as CDI and SBDC. You heard Monique and Nadine talk earlier about the importance of their program. So they're going to be in this program. What I want to make sure I talk about is that this is just preliminary renderings of the buildings. We are now in the A&E phase. So in the next presentation, I hope to have more accurate depictions of these buildings. But we're looking to build modern buildings. This is EDA funded by the Economic Development Administration, and it's going to sit right across where you see the comfort homes, right across from NMC there. So that's where it's situated on campus. So we're hoping to get to the 30% phase of the A&E part of the design phase really quickly. This is, we're moving along aggressively for this particular project. So just again, designs. The target completion date for the Workforce Development and Training Center will be November 2025. Okay, so the project that I alluded to earlier are the two classroom projects. This is funded by the DR program, and thank you to, of course, NMHC and HUD. We were able to get funding to fund two buildings, classroom buildings for our students, and we are there's going to be two. So one is going to be situated right next to the Workforce Development Building, also across the Comfort Homes, but one is going to be across on the other side of the campus where you see, you're probably familiar with 153 restaurants. So right across that is our second classroom building. I show these pictures. These are not photos of the actual renderings from the A&E design firm, but I want to make sure that I talk about the the future of our classrooms, because they're not just going to be in person. They're going to be in person and online and hybrid, and all utilizing all types of modalities to make sure that we are a technologically enhanced campus. So it's not going to be your typical four walls. It's going to be adaptable. Some spaces will open up into 3 or 4 classrooms, or we will be able to divide them. We can also host conferences and other types of gatherings, because we always rent hotel spaces for these types of facilities. So our buildings will be the most modern buildings on campus. So the target completion date is September 2026. And again, this is for the two classroom buildings. The other projects in the pipeline are our healthcare training center, our gym and our parking structure, our Dandan revitalization project, which I have spoken about here. We're trying to revitalize the entire corridor, the right-of-way corridor between Northern Marianas College and the Shell gas station. We have also other facilities that are in the works. So to close my segment of this presentation is that in addition to the construction, the direct costs, the indirect costs, and the induced costs, the economic impact of all these projects is approximately $200 million going into the CNMI economy. So when you really look at it, your $18 million investment is but a 10%, is just 10%. So you multiply that by 20, right? So you will get $200 million for your $18 million, I'm sorry, by 10. You multiply it by 10, by a factor of 10. So you will get $200 million for the $20 million that you're investing in Northern Marianas College. And I hope you see it that way, that NMC is not an expenditure, but an investment. And it's not just into whether we can do construction. We need people to run procurement. We need people to run finance. We need people to run HR to be able to hire the people needed to push these projects along. Right now, we are overworked, burnt out, and tired. because it's a lot of work to do all these things. And you see the bags under our eyes, you see the tiredness that we display. It is real, but we are doing this for the community, and I want to just stress that because I'm not going to be able to a chance to talk on the mic again for the rest of the presentation. So I just want to make sure that that's clear, that what we're asking for in terms of $20 million, you're going to get back as an infusion into our economy $200 million, and I can definitely show you how that is broken out. Thank you, Dr. G.
Thank you, VP Frankie. Yes. So, as you can see, we are committed to taking care of our community and ensuring that we take care of our resources so that we can take care of our community. But at the end of the day, it's not really about money. It's not about like resources. It's about people. And so we'd like to share with you the many ways that we are taking care of our people, beginning with our academic programs and services. So for that, we have with us our interim dean for academic programs and services, former interim president of NMC, and the state director for adult basic education in the Northern Marianas, Lorraine Cabrera Maui.
Thank you, Dr. G. Also, interim department chair for social science and humanities. Many hats. Thank you for that. So, academic programs and services is the program that I head currently, and we offer 4 degree programs. I will just gloss over these. They haven't changed in a while. So, we have our 2 bachelor's degree programs: Associate of Arts, Associates of Applied Science, and Associate of Science. We also have 8 certificate programs, um, uh, certificate of completion in basic law enforcement, and so on. A lot is based on our academies and small business management and early childhood education that I believe Ms. Monique Sablon had also alluded to. We continue to provide services in Rhoda and Tinian. We have our academic courses, also our adult education courses, my other hat. Student services, we have apprenticeship, CDI is there, CREES, and other programs. What I like to concentrate on is our faculty. We have been very blessed in the many talents of our faculty. We have our wife and husband team, Dr. Bellew Solomon and Dr. William Fife, who are contributing authors to chapters in textbooks. This one up here is actually their latest article in a law review. And they're actually, Dr. Bellew is from School of Education. Dr. William Fife is from um, Social Science and Fine Arts. Dr. Yunzi Zhang is from the School of Business. She has authored a chapter in a book, and that's The Islands of Resilience, Experiences from the Pandemic Area. It's actually pretty interesting. We have Adam Walsh. He is a poetry author. Um, he's actually have been a contributing author in many journals. He also has a metabody, a chapbook. It's actually a mini book uh, filled with poems. Okay. And that was a finalist of the Atlas Review TAR series. What I also wanted to point out, we have 3 faculty from the Languages and Humanities Department, also an adjunct, who have contributed and edited this textbook, which we are using in our current issues, SO297. We are also using it in our literature and history classes. So this is it's actually a really fascinating book. Very colorful. Next. Highlights. School of Business continues to increase in their enrollment. It's actually doubled. Their graduation rates in the past several years have also increased. School of Education, we are having them develop 3 master's programs. That's the master's degree in mental health, special education, and teaching. We are also, they're also working on the workforce alignment certificate in early childhood education. Again, that's with CDI. And then the working with PSS with the Teacher Academy and Related Services Assistive Program. Nursing program continues to have a very large wait list, and their graduation rates have also increased. And like as it was reported earlier, we are seeing them into the workforce, heading into the workforce, and we're very proud of them. Considerations: we are asking Compact Impact Funds $750,000. Because like I mentioned before, we're seeing major increase in our program development. We are continuing to write more grants, write more or develop programs, the master's program. We need more faculty to head or to teach these courses. We need staff in order to manage the new grants. Where because of the increased enrollments in the past several years, we're seeing again lack of faculty. Our faculty, current faculty right now, are teaching above their credit load, um, like seriously above. And we're also seeing more hires of adjuncts, and that's pretty limited because they need to meet qualifications. Um, our staff are assuming more responsibilities, wearing multiple hats. I am a prime example of that. But you know, we love our college, we love our community, so we do what we have to do. But as a supervisor, I am seeing an increased number of health leaves, and that's very concerning because it's actually it's a direct correlation to burnout. And I have had many people come into my office, you know, really venting about workload, also trying to juggle their work, their family life, and community responsibilities. And so, but they're saying they're very tired and they're very worried about how they'll be able to continue to produce the way they have produced in the past several years, their work quality. So, in essence, you know, we're in order to take care of our people, we are asking for the extra funds in order to continue providing the programs and the services that we are providing. And we want to make sure that these programs are quality, you know, not just looking at the increased quantity of them, but we want to make sure that what we produce is all quality. Thank you.
Thank you, Rain. Appreciate that. And of course, at the end of the day, one of our most important outputs and what we're most proud of is our students. So our Dean of Student Support Services, Charlotte Cepeda, will speak to that.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, and thank you for your time today. So I am here on behalf of the division that represents the students, the 1,319 students who live in 1,319 households, who have 1,319 family members. They are the reason why we're here. They are the reason why we do what we do. And as a Student Support Service Division, we are also responsible to provide targeted student services by acknowledging the holistic approach, which is a really different approach, or maybe a more increased approach, using research-based best practices to show our students that they matter to us not just as academic beings, but also as social, emotional, mental, and physical beings. So addressing the student as a whole body. It's also part of our responsibility to provide robust, positive campus climates and cultures, the best college experience that we can provide to the best college students from the best community. We also need to provide targeted, equitable a lot of new things that are happening in higher education, inclusive, accessible services, because we are increasing and we are diversifying our student population. We also, in order for us to be able to do that, we have this need to provide sufficient and again qualified personnel to support the recruitment and the retention efforts that we put out there for our students. Again, the increasing diverse number of students that come to us for a holistic college experience. Next. So some of the highlights that I really wanted to be able to share was that we now have what's called the PROA Pathway Partnership Program, housed under Project PROA. Excuse me. And the big difference about this is we are now the lead in this grant as opposed to being the subrecipient of the grant. So not long ago, we had Build Exito, which is a collaboration between Portland State University, who was the grant recipient, and then they worked with us as subrecipients. With this new grant, we are so proud to say that NMC, the CNMI, is now the grant recipient and Portland State University is the subrecipient. So what it does is it allows for our students to seamlessly transfer to PSU for STEM degrees that are not offered at NMC. Other highlights are we've had our third annual research symposium in which 31 of our students participated in the process of research and actually had an opportunity to present it. We had 3 staff members also part of that. They presented as well as provided mentoring for our students throughout that process. We had our second annual Set Sail conference. And what this does was it allowed for our students the platform to be able to grow as leaders, because we all know that they will be the leaders of the future. We also very much are aware of and acknowledge the need for mental health services at this point in time. And so in response to that, we offered a mental health summit, and it was titled Time to Heal. Financial literacy is another thing that is a priority in being able to provide the best workforce-ready community members who are capable, confident, and able to provide for the CNMI in the future. The Financial Literacy Summit was offered on Saipan, Tinian, and also on Rhoda. That was very important for us. We provide academic assistance through tutoring and mentoring with Project PROA. And again, because the landscape of higher education and really the world has really changed, shifted dramatically these last few years, there's also a need to increase mental, social, emotional, and physical health through our counseling program. And then the grind never ends. The recruitment and the retention efforts, we definitely need to be able to provide the sufficient number of employees to be able to assist us in helping to meet these workforce needs that we all need. Next. So I just wanted to share a little bit about our enrollment data. And as you can see, our enrollment data continues to increase through typhoons, through pandemics, through changes in the world, through changes in the CNMI. We still continue to provide for an increase in enrollment, which means that our community members are interested in bettering themselves and interested in serving the community. Okay, the next one, I just wanted to share with you today about our graduates and where we are with graduates and certificate conferrals. So the 2023 showed the second highest number of graduates who are ready now to join the workforce. Next. Workforce development is a priority. So the Northern Marianas College does track our job placements. The numbers the percentiles that you're seeing right now are based on 3 months after graduation. And this is following our graduates from fall 2021, spring 2022. As best practice means that we have up to 1 year to clearly identify where our graduates are and whether the positions that they are employed in are directly connected to the degrees that they had received through NMC. Um, Financial aid. So I just wanted to share also some data on our financial aid. So approximately 69% of the students that we have had for summer, fall, and spring were able to receive federal financial aid. We're able to also utilize the Veterans Aid, and it has assisted 30 of not only our veterans, but of their families as well. Other data that I wanted to share was that 99.3% of our first year students are also FAFSA eligible. And so practice has been to include tuition and fees in the appropriations budget, to have it counted as part of the budget. I sit here today and I ask for your support that when considering the appropriations budget, that we offset our students' tuition and fees. Um, and that definitely will allow for us to be able to respond again to these challenges that were not challenges 5 years ago, to these challenges that were not challenges 3 years ago, to these challenges that were not challenges 1 year ago. To include again COVID storms and all the effects that it has on our students. You know, um, we work with our students for when we talk about food insecurity, mental health, best practices, a balanced life. There are so many other things that were not highlighted again 5 years ago, and need to come to the forefront at this point in order for us to continue to build capable, confident, strong, and very, very brave future community members.
Thank you, Dean Shar. And so let's give them all a big round of applause. Thank you very much for presenting. So just have a few more slides, Chairman. As you can see, whether it's taking care of our community, taking care of our resources, or taking care of our people, we essentially help take care of the CNMI. And there's no better way to demonstrate that than to tell you beyond the numbers, beyond the initiatives, beyond the policies, the stories of our students and our graduates. Take, for instance, Anthony Tenorio Jr., who is a Project Pro admin manager, who is the brother of one of our Project Pro admin managers, who just earned his associates in liberal arts, and he's currently works as a Tossie Watch community ranger for MENA. Another graduate is Chantel Maui Royo. She is a working mother of two who made the hard choice of taking time off from work so that she could return to pursue her associates in criminal justice. And her ultimate goal is to work at the federal courthouse. Or what about Charlotte Flores, who just recently earned her Bachelor's of Science in Education and will be working in one of our public schools for PSS. Or Frances Sabran, a veteran who is also helping other veterans. Somehow she was able to manage work and school and family life to earn her liberal arts associate's degree. Or Kelsey Hideo Lizama, who also is balancing work, life, everything, and recently earned her Bachelor's of Science in Business Management. And then one of our own maintenance employees, Leslie Ann Rapiz, who is a full-time working mother who is going to school all while waking up at 5 a.m. every morning to keep the NMC campus safe and clean. Or Devon Pangilinan Sablan, who for her teaching practicum in the School of Education, decided to work with society's most vulnerable populations by working with the DYS and the Child Protective Services. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Tanya David, who was a full-time working mother serving one of our #1 regional banks, and who lost both her father and her father-in-law, but that did not stop her. She persisted. These are just some of the many lives we've affected. This is how we at the college take care of the CNMI. But right now we're in a growth mode. We have growing demand for our programs. We're ready to launch new programs to meet the demands of our workforce, our economy. We're growing new facilities. On this growth trajectory, the only way we can take care of the CNMI, the only way we can take care of the community, our people, and our resources is if you, our leaders also take care of us, because there's only so much we can do. We need your help. We need your investment. So please, we come to you today having shared with you all the great many things that we're doing, and it's just a sample. But we could do so much more to revive our community, to bring hope to everyone that lives in the Northern Marianas, and really to sail ahead towards a brighter future. That's what we're about, and we invite you to help us with that. And that's why we are not giving you a wish list. We're giving you what we need when we ask for $8.7 million. Huh? 18.7. 18.7. See, we got a great team. Thank you very much. And as I like to say with every speech, stay safe, stay calm, and sail on.
Thank you. Thank you, President Galvin. But before we move forward, I'd like to go back to item 2 to adopt today's agenda so the members can ask questions to NMC and its board. With that, I'll recognize the Vice Chair.
So move on the adoption of the agenda, Mr. Chairman.
There has been a motion made by the Vice Chair to adopt today's agenda.
Second.
And it has been seconded. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it. Move along to the today. Thank you for the presentation for all your team. I know every year it's a challenge for the members to fund NMC, but we do best our best. I know we just passed a recent appropriations to help out NMC, so whenever we see Frankie here, we already know he's asking for something, so we do our very best to provide with NMC what we can. And with that, I'll recognize the Vice Chair for the first round of questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think NMC just conflicted out over 50% of the members, so you might have a challenge in getting your budget. But we like the $8 million better than the $18 million. Can I ask NMC though, well, how much in total federal funds are you guys receiving on an annual basis?
I will defer to our VP of Administration and Advancement, but my recollection, it's about a third of our revenue. But bear in mind that shouldn't be counted as revenue because it's targeted towards specific programs.
Yes.
True.
I hope, I'm not sure if all the members of our Ways and Means Committee have a copy of the budget proposal. So on the, I think, second to last sheet, it does indicate how much we do receive in grants with regard to CREEs and other federal programs. So that sheet has all the different breakdowns. The different breakdown for all the federal grants that we receive. As Dr. G does mention, many of these federal grants are highly targeted, so they're not unrestricted. They are very targeted at use it for this particular purpose or use it for that particular purpose. So the funds that we're asking for are those that allow us here at the legislature, the funds that we're asking for allow us to cover those things that are not covered in our federal grants. And Chairman BJ, one of the things I do want to emphasize, especially with construction, is that the grants that we got for the facilities, many of them, most of them, in fact, do not cover what we call the FF&E, which is the furnitures, fixtures, and equipment, and some of the other soft costs like permitting and all the other costs. So those really we have to fund on our own. So they, for example, the CDBGDR funds only cover the shell of the building. We have to cover the equipment, and these equipment are not cheap. So that's some of the funding that we are asking for. So we do boast about some of the federal grants that we have gotten because we want to make sure we reduce our burden or the burden of NMC to the CNMI government. But we do need your help because some of these grants do not cover what we need. So the breakdown is on this page. There's no page number here, but it does have all the different grants that we have received.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we understand that a lot of the fund monies that NMC will be getting, this $200 million investment to the college, is their one-time
Yes.
monies, right? That NMC will be receiving. Okay, with that though, what other external grant funds that you guys receive outside of the federal grants? What other external types of monies, whether it be delegation money or any other investment from other entities outside of the CNMI or within the CNMI from private businesses?
Well, when we partner with some of our government entities and our private businesses, we do assess fees for some of the training that we provide. A lot of this is in collaboration, because we also know that when we're working with, like, let's say DCCA, right, they're also very limited with their finances. So typically it's fees that we assess for our training programs through the Community Development Institute. Our auxiliary services like the bookstore and stuff like that, it doesn't generate a lot of revenue. And on Tinian, for instance, we do rent out some of our rooms at our Tinian site, but again, to other government entities that we also understand are struggling financially. So that's primarily where our additional revenue comes from, other than tuition and fees and federal funds.
All right, thank you for that. I know that, man, sorry, I forget which speaker, but they're talking about the $750,000 compact impact monies.
That was Dean Lorraine.
Dean Lorraine.
Yeah.
On this, with this, has NMC been working with the Department of Commerce on these on this information? Because this is based on freely associated states population within the CNMI, and we need to make sure that the numbers are with commerce, so because it's a formula based
Right.
funding source, and we have this challenge in the legislature because we all we do is we just approve the monies that come here. We don't have the formula. It's based on our numbers here, and if NMC is not working with commerce, it's never going to get to OMB so that they can actually get those information into the Department of Treasury so that it's calculated for our formula base. We're never going to be able to get to the $750,000 if we're not updating our formula here in the CNMI. So I respectfully ask that NMC works with commerce so we can update those numbers and the population that NMC serves for the associated states. I think that's important. We start from there.
Understood. And we have worked with them, and that amount is from the current fiscal year. So we're looking ahead to the next fiscal year.
Okay, I think one of the things that maybe we can work with on with commerce on freely associated the freely associated population is maybe the generation after these interracial
yes.
marriages, right? So maybe what we can do is use those base numbers to help NMC receive more of the compact impact numbers. So right now it's difficult. A lot of the money is going to the Department of Public Safety, for example, but they're with the Department of Public Safety for 10 minutes. They're with the Department of Corrections for 3 months. And the Department of Corrections get 10% and Department of Public Safety gets 60%. It doesn't make sense. Obviously, the formula was based off of prior years when the Department of Corrections was under the Department of Public Safety.
That's an excellent point.
That's something that we should ask NMC to please work with those guys.
Excellent point. Thank you.
And I know that you guys receive a lot of students that receive scholarships from whether it's Shefa, Tinian, or Rhoda scholarship programs and the CNMI scholarship programs. Are they working directly with the NMC?
Yes, we work directly with CNMI Shefa, CNMI Scholarship, Shefa, the municipal scholarships, our financial aid office and their team. It's not just them. They also work very closely in ensuring that students are entering accurate data for FAFSA. So we do our best to reach out and engage all our partners to ensure that the data is correct and that the students are supported in, through these scholarships and other programs.
Okay, are these monies being directly submitted to NMC, or are the checks being written to the students?
So for the CNMI scholarship, it comes to the students. I mean, it comes to the institution, but when it comes to other municipal scholarships, they sometimes bypass us, but CNMI scholarship comes directly to the college.
Would NMC be willing to start working? We can do it from our end. We have members that are associated with the different delegations to make sure that these monies go directly to NMC so that the monies can only be utilized at NMC. Outside of that, should they they decide not to go back to class after a semester or two, that money still remains at NMC for its usage and considered expired after 2 semesters, and that money will be will remain with NMC, and they will be without fiscal year limitations. So you guys will be able to use that as operational costs rather than obligating it to a certain program at NMC.
Well, we would definitely welcome that conversation because we do work very well with the respective boards. And we also know that other than tuition and fees, students have other needs. So we want to be respectful and mindful of that, but it's definitely a conversation we welcome to have.
I just think that that's important, right? Because when you have certain financial aid programs that are external from the local level, they're restrictive to what you're going to use them for, right? That's why we help apply for these programs so that students can be assisted for their education. The scholarship programs are called scholarship programs for specifically that issue. There is a program. Let's say lunch, for example. You guys have a canteen at the college. Why not use that money directly into the canteen of the college so that the college doesn't pay for operational costs to a certain vendor when they can actually use a scholarship program for that?
Yeah. Excellent suggestion, Representative. And just to, right now, we don't have a canteen. We're working on it because space is very limited. But if we do, that is one of the challenges about bringing on a vendor is the costs and that are involved and the liability that is assumed by the institution. So thank you.
Yeah, and you guys have the Project Proa sponsors with a bunch of different restaurants and grocery stores around the cinema.
Yes.
Maybe that's something that you guys can use that towards because they're already investing into the college, right? Instead of the businesses going to Rev and Tax and asking for a tax write-off, they can actually use their ETC and invest back into NMC while NMC is still investing into them. Would that be something that we consider?
We welcome we welcome all ETC contributions.
And we haven't even touched the budget yet. I'm just trying to make sure that we're looking at the external funds. So I'm sure that the chairman will make sure that Manny Castro, former NMC, we got to remind Manny that he's at this side of the building now, not with NMC. But we'll work with you guys on the budget. I just want to get these outside sources taken care of as before we start getting into the details of the budget itself. So I appreciate that, and we'll look forward to more questions. I yield for now, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Vice.
Vice.
Just a few questions, Mr. President. We understand the administration for the past 3 years has been allotting about $3 million to NMC, and that's just from the general fund. How has NMC, I know it's a shortage, but is it mostly for personnel or is it used for other purposes?
It's mostly almost entirely for personnel, and it's not enough.
I understand.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure why it's this low. I know we try to meet the mandate of $6 million per annum with the Constitution, I believe. And so we'll try to make sure we come close to that at least and not maintain it at this amount. But nevertheless, are they updated with all the remittance with as far as allocation for this fiscal year?
No, they're not.
I don't know what are we behind by a quarter or what are we looking at?
I will have our VP respond to that.
The transfer has been, I believe it was just one payroll for fiscal year 2023. So NMC has been fronting some of the funds. We have had some federal funding that are assisting us meet some of the payroll expenses. But we haven't been able to draw down on that because of some of the approvals that we needed to secure from the U.S. Department of Education. But between then and now, NMC has been fronting most of it.
Thank you.
And just real quickly, no, Chairman,
Go ahead.
the reason why also it was 3 million, the original budget to NMC was about almost $6 million for FY23. But because of the removal, the adjustment of the budget, that was recently changed to remove ARPA. So we're back down to 3 million.
Thank you for that clarification. And I guess with regards to the tuition, has the tuition fees been increasing, or it's been
We have not,
maintained?
sorry, Chairman.
Yeah.
We have not increased tuition in a number of years, and this is something that is part of our long-term strategic plan to develop a tuition increase policy so that tuition will increase gradually. However, even if we were to increase tuition in a way that would generate any kind of meaningful revenue to offset any drastic cuts, we would have to increase tuition by levels that would make a college education at NMC unaffordable for most people in the Marianas, in the Northern Marianas. As we shared earlier, most of our students qualify for federal financial aid, and that gives you an idea of the poverty level of many of our students, and many of them are struggling. And the affordability of our tuition and fees is what attracts them to NMC. We do recognize the need to increase tuition gradually over the course of time, but it has to happen gradually. And the challenge is because we haven't increased tuition in a long time, it would take a drastic increase. So that is why we are going to develop a gradual tuition increase policy. Now is not the time to increase it by 20, 30, 40, 50%, which is really what it would take to make it a meaningful source of revenue for the college.
Thank you with that. Open the floor for now. Rep Castro.
Good morning, colleagues and former colleagues. The one question, because I noticed there's several vice positions on the budget requests. So I just wanted to find out personnel serving in multiple acting capacities as shown in the budget request. Are these personnel receiving additional compensation given that the funding has been allocated each year? So, and I see that there's quite a few people that are no longer at the college for over a year and are still vice.
So thank you very much, Representative Castro, for that question, and former colleague and current colleague. If someone is serving in an interim capacity, they are not paid twice. They are paid for the level of that interim position. So yes, they are being compensated for the additional work, but not double paid. The reason that we have a number of people listed in vice or vacant positions is that we're just struggling to fill vacancies. And that's why, as Dean Maui mentioned earlier, our faculty, staff, administrators are experiencing a lot of burnout. And the way we can alleviate that burnout is to be able to fill much needed positions that have been vacant for far too long.
Thank you. I have a second question is, as it pertains to revenue and revenue loss and overall student retention, most colleges and universities issue student financial aid refunds within the first month. Some students have stressed concerns that their refunds are being issued late towards the end of the semester. Is this still an issue, and what is the plan if it is?
So part of the delay is caused by the manual verification of the information to ensure that, because the last thing we want is for the federal financial aid office, or the U.S. Department of Education, to come back to students and say, "Oh, you owe money because you weren't supposed to get that amount." So particularly when it comes to our federal financial aid, there's a lot of manual verification. So the plan to address that is really twofold: increasing the number of staff in our federal financial aid office and providing them more assistance, but also our transition to an enterprise system for our student information management system. As you know, we have basically our entire data system sits in different silos. So you have federal financial aid in one silo, you have student accounts in another silo, you have grades in another silo, you have procurement in another silo. So to get to these different data silos to talk to each other, we have to do it manually. So as we transition to an enterprise system, we're going to integrate all of these silos so that the information is generated much more quickly, much more accurately, and much more seamlessly. And that should improve the turnaround time for reimbursements to students.
Thank you. That is really transformative. I also recommend once you guys master that, please help the other government agencies follow suit. And then
Thank
the
you.
last question I have is regarding the CW cap. As you are aware, we have till 2029 to really close the gap. Um, this is also possibly another way to increase revenue is accelerating, increasing, um, you know, additional opportunities for course completion and degree completion. Would you just mind sharing with my other colleagues because they might not know the ongoing process? with that?
Sure. Thank you very much. This is something I get very excited about because I wrote an entire dissertation about this. Really, one of the most important and underserved markets in higher education are working professionals. What some call non-traditional students. To me, these are traditional students because we have a lot of students, graduates who are working parents. So what we are looking to do is to replicate the phenomenal success of our academies with our criminal justice program. We have our fire academy, we have our police academy, we have our customs academy. And what a lot of these academies have going for them is that they are accelerated programs that are cohort based. So that you are working with your colleagues towards earning a certificate or a degree. And they are also site based, so that rather than bringing you to the college for all your courses, we bring the college and the learning to you in your work site. And that allows for work that is much more relevant so that when you're writing, like let's say you're writing a paper for English 101, right? Rather than writing about the Titanic, you're writing it, let's say at DPS about, learning how to do report writing and write about an incident report. So this relevancy, this site-based, cohort-based approach, and this accelerated program improves graduation rates. We see some of our highest program and completion rates in these academies. So we're going to replicate that success into our business program and into some of our education programs. And we also intend to bring this to Rhoda and Tinian so that we can offer more academic courses. Because the thing about these accelerated programs is you can concentrate them and condense them so that it takes less time to earn your degree or your certificate. So we're very excited to launch that because that will help address many of the workforce needs of the CNMI.
Thank you, Dr. G.
Thank
That's
you,
all.
Representative Castro.
Thank you, Representative Castro. Any other member? Rep Flores.
Hi, Dr. G and team. I just wanted to make a comment. I know when I met you here earlier, I said you're turning everyone into Jedis, and pretty soon they'll all be Jedi Masters. I know last year, a couple years ago, I attended Mount Carmel graduation, and the students exiting from high school were very excited, and they were just so appreciative of your leadership. And I've always said this, that when you have good leaders that are stewards in the agencies or the institutions that they lead, it shows. And today is a testament of that. You've got a very solid team. You've got a very solid board who are extremely supportive of higher education. I think we all know that in order to eradicate poverty, we have to educate our community. And that's always been the goal. I'm glad once you mentioned silos, I just got nervous because apparently we've been running that way for the last 20 to 30 years. And I call it the CNMI experiment. And I think we've failed at that part. But moving forward and your vision, I have to echo Rep Castro that you have a vision, and that's commendable. And I think everybody that is in leadership or management or senior roles, in charge of agencies and institutions, they need to have that now. You also mentioned about not this being the right time to increase the tuition rates. Like everything else, we should have done this 30 years ago, right? Moving forward. That way it would have been not so hard and deep on the pocket. Just the other day, we were looking at fees on DMV, and to register a bicycle is $3, or a motorcycle is $3. I mean, that hasn't changed since, I guess, 1905. I don't know. But, these are the things now that we need to look into, right? We don't want to do it so extreme, right? But the need, it has to be done at some point. But I'm glad, again, I just want to commend you on your leadership, and the future Jedis and soon to be Jedi Masters, I assume. Um, you have a solid team, and congratulations again. And thank you to the management and the team of NMC for coming here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Representative Flores. And I think I'm humbled and honored. And I am blessed, but I think the CNMI is blessed by really a solid board of regents that is always pushing us to do what's best for the college and the community. And we have a phenomenal team, I think the best team in the region, so much so that we're a training hub for aquaculture. We bring people in from Hawaii. We win national awards for our marketing and advancement. We have faculty and students that are being published in papers around the world. So yes, the force is strong at the college. Thank you, Representative Flores.
Rep Flores, you yield.
I yield.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Rep Ogle.
Thank you, Chairman Yumo. Welcome, NMC, President and Vice and staff members and directors, deans. Coming from the precinct from Rhoda, my concern is the campus there right now. Just this year alone, or the last graduation, there's only a few students that graduated, and I know that a lot of students that are just graduated from Rhoda are interested in attending our local colleges, but the challenges is having to fly over here and finding a place to stay, transportation and all that has been a very it's an extremely challenging for them. I've had several students that reached out, and so what is the NMC's plans for the Rhoda campus? And can you please briefly just let us know about that? Thank you.
Representative Ogle, I actually really love that question because I get very excited about the possibilities for Luta and Tinian. As the slide shows here, these are just some of the many programs that we've been offering over the past few years, working very closely with PSS to offer programs in the summer and throughout the year through our Community Development Institute. Earlier, as I was responding to Representative Castro, we're developing this Accelerate CNMI learning program where, because it will be site-based, we can bring the program to Luta and Tinian. And in doing so, we're going to be able to bring the program not just to high school graduates, but also to many public and private sector employees who are looking to upskill. So we're very excited to do that. But also through the leadership of Representative Castro and support from Governor Palacios, we're looking at developing drone manufacturing and training on the island of Luta, specifically at the Luta campus, because the roof on our site there, it's a perfect launch pad for drones. And also there isn't a lot of airspace around Luta, so it makes it the perfect place to test the products that they manufacture. And at the Rhoda site, we have 2 loading bays. So one is being used by Crease, the other one can be used by the drone manufacturer. So we're very excited about that. We're also very excited. We've been working closely with universities throughout the Pacific, as well as WICHE, to try to push forward basically a memorandum of understanding that if anyone comes to our islands to do any kind of research, that they will first go through the institution of higher learning in that island or in those islands to engage the local community. So for example, on Luta right now, there's some research being done by the University of Washington on birds. So at NMC, we have a bird expert in our science department. So we've been able to connect those two so that what we hope to do is to also bring students to Rhoda. It's not just about bringing, helping students on Rhoda and Tinian. It's also about helping the entire Northern Marianas. I think it would be great to bring our STEM students to Luta to do field research and to have a better appreciation and understanding for the bird sanctuary that's there. And that's just birds. What about the bats? There's a lot of research potential there, or marine biology, or there's so much possibility that we are looking to invest in. So those are just some of the many ideas that we're exploring for Luta and Tinian.
Thank you. Ayu.
Thank you, Rep. Ogo. Rep. Hold on.
Morning. Thank you, Chair. I let me be the maybe devil's advocate, or be a realist. You know, I empathize with pretty much every department at NMC, DPS, hospital. Everybody needs money. And I wish we have $1 billion to give everybody everything that they ask for. But we must also understand that the economy of scale that the cinema has is like almost next to impossible to even give half of what everybody's asking for. Because we are that poor. I have $1 in my pocket, but then there's 10 people asking for $1. You know, and then all I can give is a penny each. Maybe more than one or two. You know, um, I'm also an instructor. I have my own business. And on your construction boot camp, I totally understand. And even the business that I run as a certified instructor, for the construction site, I drop my prices so low. Why? Because I do not want to hurt the business. You know, so I end up, you know, coming out of pocket just so that I can help the community, like you guys, get our people certified and so that they can get these jobs. You know, and I'm one of the fortunate few to be retired. You know what I mean? And I'm able to live and survive. At the same time, I do run my business, but then it becomes a handout. Because I know that they cannot afford it, and I know that the businesses are struggling. You know, especially when we're talking about increasing taxes. Especially on the construction side, with the price of everything going on. But then the opportunity, especially for like Tinian with the construction that's gonna, that's moving forward. You know, and so yes, I mean, I'm pretty sure nobody's gonna disagree that we wish we could give you that 18 point, maybe a little bit of bonus and make it straight 19. But that's far fetched. And like I said, I'm pretty sure that nobody, is against trying to give you that 18.7. But I would also want everybody to understand that let's be realistic. We do not have the economy of scale. And then I understand the federal funds or grants that you guys get are very specific. It's very restrictive, and I wish that, it wasn't like that, but it is what it is, you know. But other than that, I really, really do, commend you guys for doing what you're doing. And yes, I do understand that it's very, very hard, especially when you wear multiple hats. And there's not enough time in the day for everybody to be doing everything that they're doing, and it does get exhausting, not just physically, but also mentally, financially, spiritually. It just gets hard. But for what it's worth, and I'm pretty sure my colleagues can agree, that we empathize with you and we wish we have 18.7, you know, but whatever it is we can do and whatever it is, that we can give, I'm pretty sure that you please understand that if we cannot give you that 18.7, don't tell the students, go check your congressman and ask for more money because we can only give what we can. You know? Right. Thank you. I yield, sir.
Chair, if I may comment, Representative, we too empathize with the difficult decisions you and your colleagues have to make. You don't have access to a multi-billion-dollar trust fund, okay? So we empathize as well. And it's our job to be here today to present our best case for what we need so that we can continue delivering the high quality of service that we've been delivering for many years. And I think the college has a proven track record of collaborating with our community partners and our elected leaders so that we will not come back to you saying, you know, shaming you, how dare you not give us the money? That's not how we row. We understand that you are doing your best to serve not just us, but the entire community. But I assure you that what we've presented today, it's what we need. And I'd like our Vice President, Frankie Lipsico, to add a few comments to that.
Thank you, Dr. G. Congressman Aldan, thank you so much for that. I appreciate it. What we're asking for again is, the bare bones that we can use to operate the college. But what I hope and ask for on behalf of our college community, if Dr. G allows me so, is to look at the Northern Marianas College as an investment, not really an expenditure. You cannot have a vibrant economy without an educated workforce. Those two things need to be together. They work hand in hand. They have a direct correlation. So the more successful your economy is, will be dependent on how successful we are at educating our workforce. So when we do go into the conference committee, I hope that one of the conference committee members does echo those sentiments. Because if we continue to look at education as an expense and somehow think that our economy will take off while investment in education will go down, that's just not going to happen. And it hasn't worked anywhere else in the world, and it will not work here. So let's take that bold move and say, let's see what putting more money in our educational systems will do for our local economy, because they have a direct correlation in growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice President. You still have the floor, Rep. Odon.
And I totally agree with your statement. I could only speak so much, for myself because I understand, to this day, I'm still going to school. I'm still educating myself. And it does, the amount of money that my business make correlates to the amount of education that I get and the experience that I have, practicing the education that or that knowledge that I gained through education. I totally agree with that. And I totally understand, so yes, you're absolutely correct. Without a good educated workforce, your economy is not going to succeed as, much as we want. You know, um, I've been to Singapore many, many times, you know, and they are a living proof of that. You know, 50, 60 years ago, they were a third world, maybe fourth world country, you know, and in less time, they become one of the top three countries in the world on a place that has zero natural resources. But what they did was invested in their education. Until this day, they are, top five in the world on their, workforce. Why? Because their education foundation is so solid that, you know, people all over the world send their kids to go to school there. And I totally understand why. I saw it and it amazes me. And I wish we could have something like that. You know, it is an investment. And what we put in is what we're going to get out. But I'm just being realistic that, you know, yes, 18 might not be a lot. And yes, it is an investment. But, sir, where can we find $18 million? So I totally understand that you're requesting for that. And like I said, I wish we could, you know, if we can. Maybe me and my colleagues can try to figure out where in the world we're going to get $18 million for you. All right, thank you. That's all I got.
And I just have one question, Chair, if I may.
Sure.
When was your first time to Singapore?
Thank you, Rep. You know, Representative Benavente.
Uh,
And
Thank
then
you, Mr. Chairman, and the president of the college, Calvin. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for coming, and the border region, members of the border region, and all of you folks that are here that are doing the presentation. Frankie, I'm not new to you guys to your presentation because I've been here in the past and I've listened to you guys. I know all alone, education is the driving force of our economy, no matter how we look at it. And Marie, Patty, you've mentioned earlier about your programs such as the aquaculture and the mariculture and all the other type of program that you have in plan forward. I hope that those plans will materialize, and because if those plans are materialized, it will be self-sustainable for your program to move ahead and increase more and help the college at any possible means that could be done for NMC. Um, I've listened to what you have mentioned, and thank you for the presentation. It's been a good one. It's an educational also for all of us, and it's a challenge because we're looking at it also on the fiscal aspects of the CNMI. And with that said, I like to ask also your patience and our patience together to try to work and coexist to face the challenge ahead of us. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you guys. You guys did a good presentation. Thank you.
thank you, Representative Benavente, Representative TJ, yeah, and then Representative Camacho.
Hi, good morning, Dr. G, VP Elliptical, and staff. Um, I just wanted to say again, thank you guys. We can't stress that enough again for taking the time out to come out here. And the fact that you have about 90% of your staff here with you just shows how much of a strong team that you guys have. And I echo the other reps again saying that you guys probably have one of the best teams on island. I am a proud product of NMC. Um, and I am proud of the growth that has been made. I think I graduated back in 2012. And at the time, working under VP Elliptical, we didn't even have a digital camera. So, how far the college has come from then with how little that you guys have had, we as a CNMI and the Marianas are proud to call you guys our institution. Um, I'm gonna keep it short because I know everybody's hungry. But the only request I would have, I guess, on the SBDC level, as you mentioned, it's a CNMI office, not just an NMC office. So if I could request, especially if we're able to somehow come up with the funding, maybe more outreach on the precinct level. I know there's a lot of people out there that are interested in opening businesses, but don't know where to start. Maybe not all in the school level. Maybe there's some older folks that don't know where to go or don't know that SBDC even exists. So maybe some outreach. Precinct 5 has the Cagman Community Center. Doing more outreach on the village level to entice some of those people that don't know where to go or maybe don't have the transportation to get to NMC. It'll be a lot easier for them to access those services. And with that, I yield. And again, I want to thank you guys and congratulate you guys on all the success that you've had for all the years. We are definitely proud of you, and thank you.
Thank you, Representative Mangalonia.
Welcome, everybody. Quick question. What type of veteran scholarship does NMC accept? GI Bill, post 9/11?
We accept both. We work closely also with the Veterans Affairs Office to provide additional services and support. And also, many of our veterans also qualify for Pell, federal financial aid. But yes, to both sources, and VP Frankie will add a little bit more.
We also comply with the law that waives the tuition for veterans who have been injured or who have a disability and who want to go to school. So they don't pay a tuition. They don't pay tuition at all.
But one more question. May I ask when you guys started accepting GI bills and post 9/11 bills or scholarships?
It's been about 10 years.
Huh, so I just missed it by a year.
You can always come back.
Actually, I did submit a post 9/11 scholarship at NMC when I first got here in 2011. Yeah, so that's it. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Representative Camacho. Representatives, go ahead. Danita, please.
Thank you, Chair. Welcome, everyone. Good afternoon, I think. Um, I'll make it fast. Um, yes, I've seen you. You have made a lot of great things up there, especially with the archives and the Sam McPheeters legacy things. Good job. And I can't wait. I want to be a student, so I can't wait to, check out the edible plants over there. Will cannabis be part of it? And looking at these vacancies here, yes, I would love to go up there and teach one of these days. Or can I do teaching and legislating? All right. Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, Representative Riangtamay. Representative Castro.
In the event that we do find money, because again, it is an investment. My only wish is that the college look into expanding entrepreneurial education, because early on, like even in the K through 12 system, if we want to meet the CW cap and be like all the other countries that were started out poor and became economically great, they invested in education and entrepreneurship. So expanding programs to promote job creation, not just getting the job, but being job creators. And also Chamorro Carolinian degree program. We, like there's a challenge in the public school system. We are really, there's not an equitable program for our, Chamorro and Carolinian language program. And if we want visitors to come here, we really need to know where we come from. We know how to speak our own language. We need to have our own culture, and it needs to be up there. And we don't want to wait too long for where it's going to be more expensive. Yeah. But please continue on the good fight, and just know that although some of us are wearing different hats now, we still got your back. Thank you.
You. Okay. Let me just take a quick recess just to ask something.